As requested by some and expected by many, the Prime Minister has announced that come mid-January, all public service workers are going to be required to show that they have been vaccinated. And if they do not show that, then they will not be allowed back on the job and they will not be paid. The opposition released a statement soon after declaring this move to be dictatorial, and truth be told, by very definition, policies like this are authoritarian, enforcing strict obedience to authority at the expense of personal freedom. And I think the world over, we are seeing some of the world leaders using this pandemic to consolidate power, and it really does seem like some of them are drunk off the power and the ability to make a decree for the population while they could continue doing whatever they like. But I don't actually think that's the case here, because there really isn't any power to be gained by making unpopular decisions in Trinidad against the public service. The former President and Prime Minister A.N.R. Robinson found that out the very difficult way back in the early 90s. What I think is the actual case here is they're in the position of leadership and people are dying. And when people are dying, doing nothing hardly ever seems to be the right move, even if it is. So they're just following the lead of many of the other large Western democracies, Canada, Australia, the United Kingdom, the United States. But something very interesting I've noticed about a lot of these mandates, many places are announcing them, but not that many are actually getting around to enforcing them. In the US, they're still being bounced around in the court system, while in the United Kingdom, they recently had some of their largest protests in resistance to further policies. You see, I think when it comes to actually enforcing these mandates, it's not even sure to solve the problem it's aiming at solving, while it surely is going to create new problems of its own. For one, if you fire somebody for being unvaccinated, that doesn't magically make them vaccinated. You still have that unvaccinated member of your society, just now they're on the breadline, unemployed in the middle of a pandemic when food prices are skyrocketing, and in countries like ours, people like that become the government's responsibility. So while you may not have to pay them a salary, you still have to find the resources to make sure all their needs are met. Our Caribbean neighbors, Antigua, they recognized that recently, and their Prime Minister called it mercy, as he had to reverse their mandatory vaccine policy. And even if you think no vaccine should mean no food, there's still the reality of skills and experience, and vaccines give neither of those. Several large companies that started off with really stringent policies had to swiftly reverse them as they realized vaccinated statuses don't replace 30 years of experience. And in the case of Trinidad, many people already say that our public sector is already too bloated, so this may be a blessing in disguise. But on the other side, their union always says they're overworked, underpaid, and understaffed. And I think that direction may be where the most problems for this policy comes from, because the current president of the Public Service Association, with resignation in waiting, has been a notorious anti-vaxxer, and the party he leads has just convincingly won the Tobago election, and he is also a public servant. So here's a thought. Would it be that come mid-January, the central government, through their policies, would be able to stop him from going to work in the Tobago House of Assembly? Interesting times ahead. At least we'd have that exhilaratingly cold morning beach bath to cool off with.